Did you know teachers aren't humans? They're not allowed to show stress or age, have health problems, show fear, waste time, and most of all, fail. They're not even allowed to go to the bathroom. That's okay, because we're here to talk about how we're all just playing a role. And at 3 o'clock, we get to be us again. 40 years ago, two 8-year-old boys were bored out of their minds in school, and they vowed one day they would do something about it. They did it to honor their friends. They did it to honor their classmates. They did it for the love of learning. I'm Matt, and this is Rob, and 40 years later, we get our turn, but now we're playing teacher. I walked into this teacher's room and so what you looked at before is basically, if anybody's watching this on YouTube or anything, like I was just struggling with all my wires for like a second. They were like on my head and everything and trying to figure it out. And you guys are just looking at me as I'm trying to get everything together. I'm not good with wires. I'm not good with wires or buttons.
Wait, what does that have to
Like
do with the teacher you just mentioned?
Because I walked in, all right, well, I also have ADD. All right, so I walked into her room and I had my like microphone. I had so many gadgets when I would push in sometimes. So I think at the time I was theater, right? Yeah. So I had like all my characters, like had like Herbie with me, and I had this, that. Then I had a student who had hearing problems. So I had if they have hearing problems, you put on like the
Mm-hmm.
microphone over here. And then at the time I was bringing in my own microphone, like to talk to the class. So, so I had like a speaker, then I had, because I would do like open mic, and then I would actually bring in like, you know, um, microphone stands. So I had that hooked up, and then the wires were all hooked up on me. Then I had like wires from my keyboard and everything. And at a certain point, I was like, I had everything on top of me, and I was like just completely like tied up. And she was looking at me like just cracking up, like just like like she completely lost it. And the kids are waiting for me calmly, like what am I doing? And then I'm pulling out the kid who has the hearing problems, like thing, and then all right, I'll get back to you, but she can't hear me, so she, obviously she doesn't know what I'm saying, but I'm gonna get it back. I'm gonna get it back, and eventually I start the class. Then I would knock things over, which I almost did just now.
So Matt, can you do a quick intro for us, and then Briggy and I have a question for you.
Sure. Welcome to Playing Teacher. This is Matt and Rob and Broogie. And what's the question?
So we were just talking about well, just to back up for a second, someone retired today, and so
Yes.
Briggy was saying that.
Wait, how long were you guys here without me? We just started
Like 2
No,
minutes.
like a few minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Someone retired today, and Briggy said there was a clap out, like all the kids were
Yes.
clapping, and so it was a planned retirement.
Oh, they did
right?
one of those today. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But then I said, let's
Yeah.
think back about all the people who did the opposite and who just like basically quit and walked out the door. Like it was like totally by surprise, so
Right.
one of them was
Well, during the year or during the summer, when if it's
no,
during the summer,
no,
they just
during
sort
the
of forget
year,
you.
like they're expected to be like teaching that week,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden they're
Okay.
just disappear.
All right. Well, was that guy that we talked about earlier?
Yes. Yeah.
I don't
Yes.
remember his name. So he that's early before I was there. He just went and worked on a farm, right? He just left. So I'm gonna go work on
Well,
a
he
farm,
came
and
in
he
and
did.
said, "Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I'm going to be leaving," and then principal was like, "Oh, well, what,
Yeah.
when's your last day?" And he was like,
Now,
"Oh, today,
yeah.
right now, yeah, today.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
leaving
gonna
right
go.
now."
There's
So,
cows
Yeah.
waiting for me. Yeah, so he just had to go milk some cows.
so
And then we have
All right.
other retirees that just basically tells
Yeah,
administration,
tell
but doesn't
people.
tell no, like tells administration but doesn't tell the staff. So like the day that they're leaving, they're like, all right,
Right,
I'll see you never. Like they just leave.
right.
And we're like, wait, what? You're
wait, Briggy,
leaving, you're
Right.
retiring?
tell the two that you mentioned to me, I guess, without using names, just like kind of describe their process?
So one of them, and Maddie, I believe you know this story, but I'm not sure. So one of them was a early childhood teacher, and she was having a really rough last few years under the new principal. And
Oh, that was a while ago. Yeah, I know.
yeah,
Was she a very
and then
religious person? Very religious
I
person?
I
Well, we're not
don't
going to
I
get
don't
into any
I don't
details
know.
about,
I don't know.
like that
Yeah.
might be
Uh,
identifiable.
Yeah, I have no
okay. All
idea.
right. All right.
So I can remember that when she left, she put a letter in the principal's mailbox with a book, and the letter was basically just her like retirement letter, retirement package, and inside the book, and the book was How to Be a Good Leader. And she put it
Yeah,
in the mailbox,
Now
and then
yeah,
she
that's
jetted.
good.
that's top notch. I mean, really.
It is top notch.
What about
Yeah.
the other one though? What's the story with the other one that you mentioned?
The other one was what I just said, where she told administration the staff. So she just basically said, "I'm leaving," and then no one else knew, and then she left.
Oh,
So
but
like,
it wasn't a shock to the
no,
administration. Okay.
no administration knew about that one,
Okay.
but the rest of the staff did not.
I wouldn't want to clap out, like if I would like, Brooke and I once had a talk about that, like would you want to clap out or not? And I'm like, no, because and she reminded me it would be like for the kids, and I was like, and I thought about it, I was like, okay, but like, with everybody else, like, there's like a handful of people that you're close to, and then the other people, like, like it's kind of it's kind of fake in a way, because then the people are tired and this and that, and you don't want to. And I know their day. I know they're frustrated. It's throwing them off and everything.
Yeah,
Like,
but it's like I said to you, it's for the
it's for the
kids. Like the
kids.
Yeah.
I
kids
got it. I
want
got
to
it.
say
Yeah.
goodbye.
Matt,
Right.
you and I should go
But then you
back
could just
and
go
do a
around and
clap
go into
out.
their class and say goodbye, I guess. I
Yeah.
guess you have to do it with the clap. It's like the 80s slow clap. But I
Yeah,
get it. No,
I think
I've
there's
seen
something.
it where it's nice. It's nice for the
It's
kids.
nice. The kids really
Yeah,
love it. They're
yeah,
cheering. Like it's nice for them. But
right.
when the person who retired today gave me a hug, she's like, "So long, Miss Party Bus." My
Oh,
legacy. That's my legacy.
oh,
Yeah.
I know who left. Okay, I know who left then. Yeah, yeah,
It's like, "So
yeah,
long, Miss
definitely.
Party Bus." I'm like,
Yeah,
"So long."
I know who it is. Yeah, yeah, because this person was telling me they're retiring for a while. Huh? Yeah, good
Really
for them.
really quickly
Yeah.
too. Now, like that covers that without going into names or anything, or even the stories. Like I just want to try to remember because it's people don't realize this. It's very, very difficult to fire a teacher with the union. Like it's almost impossible, right? But let's think about how many teachers we
But
know.
they can make you crack where you want to
Yeah,
leave.
but that I'm not counting that. I'm talking about getting the evidence that's needed to fire someone. Like to
Mhm.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Well, we know. I
how many
don't.
people
Well, yeah,
can you
they
guys think
have
of?
quite a few actually.
Tenured or not tenured? Tenured or untenured?
Just teachers are
Um,
working in the building out of the classroom. Other jobs.
and not like, oh, if you don't, find another thing, we're gonna start it. That doesn't count because I'm talking about going through the process and letting someone know that they've been terminated.
Yes. Oh my
Well,
goodness.
I mean, I've known a few. I know a few. Sometimes there's like an internal investigation going on, and
Hmm.
and that person doesn't know about it, and
Yeah.
and then the people that they're pulling aside feel like whatchamacallit, so like guilty because they're being called and asked all these questions. They might even be a friend to that person. You know what I mean? Like, and they're called in, and they ask them all these things about did this happen? Did this happen? Which is interesting.
Yeah.
Then there's other people that
Well, union.
might have screwed up outside of work, and then that's a whole other thing. And then I've seen that situation. I'm trying to think about how I could say this.
Yeah, I would
Like
say
yeah,
probably like 10 maybe, and like have have I don't know what you call it, let go, fired,
You guys
whatever.
think
Have
10?
or
I
maybe
saw a
more.
real I
For
Whoa,
saw
what?
whoa, whoa. Let's get on text so that we can, because I'm coming up with three.
Oh,
I
really?
saw
Yeah.
one. Well, I don't know if there was somebody before, like after you left. I saw one which was like really, really harsh because they didn't fire this teacher right away. They would then like they knew they wanted this teacher out, so then they go after them as a teacher. You know what I mean? Like the teacher screwed up outside. So then what they do is they don't let the teacher go. They come after you then as a teacher and to get him out. You know,
Well,
oh, I should
Right.
that's
And
part of
you
it.
it's
know,
also like,
yeah, yeah, so they're like
we're
three of
part
them,
of,
four of them at a time will go into your room and then find. I always think you can catch anybody at any time if you go into their room because nobody's perfect. You know what I mean? So let's say they weren't doing that before, then all of a sudden everything you're doing is wrong. And they'll just keep finding things. Three or four quick meetings like that, you're out, right? You know what I mean? So they could get you out that way, if they're saying you're not doing your job. Um, and then I mean then it becomes a whole thing. I remember um look, if we can't talk about this, we'll edit it out. But I'll just say this. Half the school wore black in, opposed to the basically saying that they don't agree with that the teacher should have been fired, right? And the other half didn't wear black.
Wait, do you want to just say,
Now,
should we just say the name and edit these out? Because I'm dying to know. Let me see. What?
she texted to you. Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
yeah, do it that
she
way.
put in some
Uh,
names
all
here.
right. No, no. So here's the deal, though. The person then, right? They got fired, right? We were told then to all wear black, but there's another big part of this is if you wore black, the one in charge is writing a notebook, writing down all the people who wore black that day, and then you're fucked, right?
Yeah, but you're going
yeah,
too
but no,
far.
but
You're going
yeah,
too
that,
flike we're
What do you mean? I'm going too far?
but like
yeah, like,
you're talking then about people who are on the bad side of admin, but they're not going to get fired. Like their life is going to be more difficult, but we are talking about people who were literally terminated from the
Yeah,
building.
but that can
Pack up
make
your
you
stuff and
get
go.
fired.
No, no,
Wait a
no.
minute.
Now you're going into the territory of
so
your life
I
is
think
so
we're
miserable that you
talking,
leave. It's different.
right. Like, so I think we're talking about two separate things,
Yes.
right? So we're
Well,
talking
no,
about,
we're only talking about people who were
no,
terminated from the DOE. Like you are fired. You're not like get out of the building, grab your
right.
stuff and leave, and you
Yes,
cannot come back in here. Like that's what we're
right, right.
talking
Okay.
about.
Yes,
All
yes.
right.
I hear that. Yeah.
Now I'm looking at
So
your list, Broogie, and I'm some of these names I don't even know. So obviously, then but there's one or two that I know that I didn't know got fired.
Let me read
yeah.
the list.
Well, that's why I said, were they tenured? Were they not tenured? Because the union protects.
The second person on your list got
Yeah.
fired.
Oh.
Yes, she did.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yep.
remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. She
You know
was
what
Wow.
not
sucked?
tenured.
I
She was.
remember. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying she wasn't tenured, so she wasn't
Right.
protected by the union, and unfortunately, she got a lot of. I don't know what you guys get for your observations, but
I,
whatever the lowest possible thing is, she had
I
multiple in a row, and then they never gave her the tenure, and they let her go, so she got
Wow.
let
I
go.
wasn't sure. What I heard was that she would fight back almost. You know what I mean? Like she just wasn't liked, and she would.
No, no, it had to do with how she was teaching, but
Okay.
also what was really horrible was that, we had I can remember this. I can remember that administrator was like, well, I tried saving her, like by providing her support, whatever. But then what, as unfortunately, like it really fucked with her livelihood because then she could never get a job again in the
Yeah. Right.
DOE and she had to work in a private school as a result. So it was really shitty, like really shitty.
Is the
And she's
last
such a
person
sweetheart.
is the
But
last person on your
I have
list?
to say though, she looks happy though in her life, personal life.
Yeah.
Is the last person on
Yeah.
your list spelled correctly?
Yeah, I don't know who the fuck that is. I saw that.
Yes. Yes,
Really?
it
I don't
is.
know who that is. I don't know who the second to
Uh,
last person is, and I'm not sure. Do I know the first person?
Me neither do I.
I mean, I've definitely, in passing, like
Yeah,
conversation, we've definitely spoken about all of these people.
Well,
Yeah,
we
but
didn't,
I didn't
you
add
didn't,
another one.
were they
you
there
didn't
when
put
I
the
was
one on
there?
there.
They were
You didn't put,
not there when you were there.
Okay.
you didn't put the one on there that hid in the closet. Which did she end up getting fired? The one that had the breakdown?
I don't know what happened. I don't know if she was fired or she left. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Or she was brought up on mental health, like, she had to go see, because mental health situations are totally different. And then like based on that and like their evaluation, then like they would either be let go or like it's a whole different ball game.
How many of these
Bro.
people on your list? Wait, who just wrote that last name there?
Me, I did. That's another one that just popped in my brain.
Are you
That
talking
was
about the last name that
that was
starts with a B?
Uh,
no. She's talking
Last name
about,
was
this is the one that had a breakdown also.
yeah, she
I
did
don't. I
too.
don't think I know. Wait,
You knew her.
were any of these people tenured?
I
Were
don't
any
think
of
the
these people
last
tenured?
one.
Yes.
I don't think the last one you wrote was because she was rather new.
One, two, I think three of them were.
Wow.
I think three of them were.
Okay.
You know what? I don't know. Maybe more, but definitely three. Definitely three.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
So you were saying, Rob, that it takes a lot to get fired, to get
Yeah.
to that point when you're tenured.
I'm aware of two people who were fired, but where there was a like fairly large investigation, and that led to, it was really drawn out. You know what I mean? Like it was well, and one of them spent like 3 years in the rubber room or whatever it's called.
I
Yes.
was gonna say you go to the rubber room. I've always heard of it.
And
Yeah.
got paid.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've changed that rule now, but yeah, 3 years, got paid, and then was let go.
What were we going to talk about today?
Movies. We were. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh wait, movies that have to do with teachers and perceptions.
No, the topic was cinema in the classroom.
Yes.
Is it a waste of
I'm
time or an
so
important? Can I say the topic?
I'm so glad I prepared for the art of the hook.
Oh, yeah. Well, we like to keep you on your toes.
Yeah, that was another podcast that
Wow.
Well,
think
listen, that was in fact the next podcast, but that already happened.
Yeah.
Wow.
Weren't you getting your hair done that day?
There was something, it was something
guys,
like that. She had to wash her hair or something,
You guys are.
Or maybe it was wash her hair.
Yeah.
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 I see how it is, guys. I see how it is.
We didn't hook you in for that.
Wait, do you have?
So surprise me. What's today? What's today?
Do you have?
I'm trying to say the title.
Wait, Matt. I'm just
can't get a word in.
Really quick though. If she said she prepared for the art of the hook, I'm just kind of dying to know what she has like planned out. Like what were you going to talk about with the art of the hook?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
No pressure.
No pressure. How about I think about it again?
No. I mean, you prepared. We don't want you to have prepared.
So I was actually going to talk about the perspective of a counselor and like the hook of a counselor and what to do in my sessions, right?
Boring.
So,
okay.
Very interesting. I fell asleep for a while. I'm taking over.
That's Herbie.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to wake up? She's talking about being a school counselor and the hook.
Matt,
Matt,
you know why?
I got the hook.
You know why I asked her?
Wow.
Because I was thinking that maybe she had some stories that she remembered about us and how good we are at hooking, but that's not what
I did. No, I also
sounds pretty bad.
Do. Like I had.
That's my other side job.
Stories.
All right, tell us more about us, and
you know what? I'm done.
And then we'll talk about the hooks that a counselor uses.
Nope. It's over. We're talking about movies. Okay.
Remember
I would like to say the whole title.
Yes. Okay, Matt, you're on.
I'm gonna bring Herbie back on.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, you ready?
Yes.
So the actual topic today is cinema in the classroom, a waste of time or important part of the lesson.
Mm.
I say that because a lot of teachers, there's there's an obvious stigma with movies in the classroom where
Yep.
if you put it on, you're wasting time, or somebody you throw at your back and you're putting on a movie, or you just cracked up that day, we're gonna watch a movie, or it's a reward for the kids, and there's that. But then there's another way to look at it is you're showing a movie for an important reason, or a part of a movie, or a scene from a movie.
Yeah.
And I think when you do those things, you always feel that you better have a good reason because you're always going to be looked at. It's the old thing where they just walk by and you see 5 minutes,
Yeah.
and you would think, is he just showing movies now? And then if
Yep.
that person walks by 3 times the same time, you know, over that month, and that's exactly what they see, automatically they can put into their mind. This could be from a teacher or it could be from an administrator. Then that's only what that person does during that time. And I'm just saying, it should be brought up because I don't think it's fully understood
Hmm.
the purpose or the benefit of today, especially in today,
Right, that it's an
in a world
educational
filled
tool.
right, yeah, as an educational tool.
Well, let's talk
Um,
about how it is, or so like what would how when you're thinking of showing a movie, and I'm not talking about like right before break or something. I'm talking about like
right.
strategically you want to show a movie, like what's going through your mind.
Um, well, first finding something that doesn't have things that they can't see in it. That's
Hmm.
number one, which limits
Inappropriate.
you, which limits you a lot, like, with like what actually you can show. Um, um, I always, it really depended on what I was teaching. I always liked finding clips, of films. And so it's so easy today because with YouTube and everything like that, you don't even have to show a whole film. But like, let's say I was, teaching a class on, you know, can a kid be a warrior? That's the teaching point. Can a kid be a warrior? I might find a scene from the Never-Ending Story when Atreyo is making a speech to them about how he's going to save the world, and that would be the only clip, right? And I would show that maybe for 10 minutes. But there you go. It's just this, an example like, well, is he going to accomplish his mission? Is he going to save the world, or is his horse going to die in a big pit? And that's a whole other story.
Perugi, what about you?
Well, I do think that movies are an educational tool, but I don't like if I'm teaching a specific lesson and it like, you know, if I can coordinate the lesson with the movie, then sure. But I can't think of anything off the top of my head since I just realized that this is the topic for
Yeah.
today.
Yep.
So I don't know. I'd have to think about it.
I told you it the other day.
Hmm.
What? Oh. Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't listening to her. She was saying um she didn't know the topic ahead of time.
Just caught her in a lie. She's
Oh,
gonna kill me. She's gonna kill me.
oh man. Okay.
Well, actually, Matt, you said, but I really didn't like. No, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but like when we were having that discussion, like I really wasn't. Not that I wasn't like taking it seriously, but I heard it said cinema, but I didn't know what that meant. Like I wasn't
Uh,
sure about the context of like what it was
She
actually.
wasn't really listening to you. She was
Well,
okay.
you could say it that way, but that's not what I meant.
That's pretty much what it was.
I
That's
have a
okay.
take on movies.
What?
So I think I think we make the mistake sometimes of thinking that every single thing that we do with the kids has to be like a lesson. Like it has to have like a goal and an objective and it has to be, an essential question. Like everything has to be a lesson. And like that's nonsense, right? So it's like talking about hooks. Like if you throw like imagine like someone who's trying to get into a castle and they throw a grappling hook up, right? It has to catch on to something for them to be able to climb up the rope and get over the wall, right? So like for me, if I can show a movie like the movie Up, for example, right? Or I can probably name, if we want, we can go through all these different movies that we've shown to kids and not even necessarily go through why, but based on what I'm saying now, we can think about it. Like if I show the movie Up, for example, there's probably, it's not just for one thing. Like it's not just like I'm going to be teaching them about clouds and I want them to, or about floating and sinking. Like there's probably 50 different things in that movie that then after I know that they've seen it, like my entire class has seen it, that I can reference back to as an analogy, right? So like I can
Right.
say, remember in the movie when this happened, that's this, and that's, to me, that's the most important thing in connecting like concepts and content to a kid's prior knowledge, right? So because like if you don't show it to them, maybe 10 of them have seen it, maybe 15 of them have seen it, but have they all seen it? The likelihood is almost zero. So
I found that like when years ago they wanted us to watch 200 or 300 kids
yeah,
like in the auditorium.
right.
Like I was asked to do like a continuous mass prep once a week, but they would call it a lecture. I
Yes.
think you invented that for the school. I think a lecture,
Yeah,
right?
well, we did so many of those, yeah.
So I said fine, and then I pitched to RoboCop um, a a film lecture,
Yeah.
right? And she's like, film lecture, what is this? And I was like, well, I'm going to pick like 5 or 6 movies throughout the whole year, and I would then watch parts of the movie at a time. I'd stop it, and then the kids would have their sketchbooks, and we would sketch costume design and this and that and this. And it'd be higher order thinking questions, and I was like, it's gonna be brilliant, you know what I mean? But
That's
really,
great. That sounds like such a great idea.
yes, but I was watching Star Wars. I got to pick my own movies.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the best was like this was like the best. I would be coming back from the annex where I was working with kindergarten kids under the table, and I couldn't wait to come back to the kids. And then would have a microphone, and I'm like, hello. And then the kids would be waiting, and they would be all serious and everything. All right, we're going to start off with the first. And then I would basically watch as long, I would put it on for as long as I was tired. You know what I mean? Like if I needed 15, 20 minutes just to watch Star Wars, and then I would just basically put it on and like dun dun, the Star Wars would start, and I would kind of sit like in back of them, and then silence for this time, please. And then we would just watch Star Wars, but I got it approved. You know what I mean? And then I would stop at certain points, and I would just take my time and be like, what do you think Darth Vader's thinking about right now? And then we would just talk about it, and it was the best. I think I picked. I probably picked Star Wars: The Empire Strikes. I couldn't show Return of the Jedi because of obviously got a little violent with her costume there, Princess Leia. So I went with those, and then I went with I think I
You
did
say
Annie.
violent. I was like revealing
Yeah,
violent.
well, no, but it was a violent scene also with
Yeah, it was
Jabba
a
the
violent
Hutt.
scene. Yeah,
When
you're
he
right.
when he yeah, and then the guy was thrown in there. Then the other girl was thrown in there. Remember that?
I mean, there's so many valuable lessons from Stars.
Let me just,
Yeah, no, I know.
yeah. But I mean, think of it like this too. Like it's all of these things from media, like movies, television, whatever, books, even that we consume that kind of make us who we are in a lot of ways, right? So they can
Yep.
help define relationships we have with people. They can help make us think a certain way, or maybe they launch up our creativity or whatever. I can't, but think about the attention that's being paid when this is happening. So I mean, right now, if I asked
If
you
you
to start giving me lines from, I don't know this movie as well as you guys do, but the Spaceballs, I bet you guys could go through like that whole movie, basically.
Yes,
Yes.
But I'm saying
try
like,
me.
but
Pick a scene. I'll tell you the dialogue of the scene.
so here's the thing though.
We can't.
If I was more
We're
familiar
not.
with Spaceballs, I could take something that I want to teach you in science, right? Or some kind of critical thinking or some kind of logic or reasoning. And if I referenced Spaceballs in order to make a connection for you and so that you can think about this thing that I want you to think about, you would be on it, right? Like you would automatically just be in the zone. You would be like you would understand exactly what I was trying to get at, and you would be able
I,
to
ba-
elaborate.
I think he just said though, Bree, that me and you can only do this with Spaceballs, but he has the ability to do this with science.
No, no, no. Spaceballs is an example of one that if like I'm not familiar with Spaceballs, so I can't do this. If I'm trying to teach you two something about science, I can't use Spaceballs as an example. But I could use Rocky with you, Matt, or I could
Yes.
use, I could use Star Wars with probably either of you.
Right. So how would you use it for 30 kids in a classroom? You would have to
They have to all
what?
see it. Right.
Right. So they would have to all see it. So then you would have to choose something that well, right. So then would you choose something that goes along with the lesson of that day? Like we were just
No,
saying, like you don't necessarily have to do that, right?
you could, but you don't have to because it's
You don't
like
have to.
like a movie. Let's go over movies that we've shown to kids. Right. Like one of the ones that I showed every year was Goonies. And there were a couple of
We should
points.
we show that together in the
Yeah.
Star Lab, and then we had to stop it at the beginning when they
Well, we just
started
turn down
saying,
the
"Oh,
volume when they curse.
yeah,
Like when right,
yeah."
like there's a point where someone goes, shit, we turn down the volume and then we turn it back up again, right?
But
So
the first time we were like, "Fuck,"
yeah.
we did a double take, and I was like, "No, there's some more stuff there." I was like, so then I was like, "All right, well, let's watch it." I was like,
I mean,
"There's so."
I remember too, like I remember it was you guys showed Goonies, Zathura,
Zathura,
Ice Age, Dawn of the
Wait.
Dinosaur,
I mean, I
uh,
gotta say this. I
Jumanji.
remember. No,
Amazing
wait.
Stories, or
Oh, yeah.
whatever
Oh,
the
amazing
Amazing
stories.
Stories were like from
No. Do you remember the Dark Crystal?
Yes.
the
And
Dark
you show
Crystal. Yes.
no, this is the best, right? So like Rob's watching it, you have it on in the I think I'm with you for the mass prep, and you chose this one, but I've seen it also, but it was a long time ago. Like you put this on like for the kids, right? In the it's like 200 kids, 300, it's packed in there. Every seat's taken. And then one of the teachers comes in, kind of storms in like, and like watching it for like a minute, like what the hell is this? Because I'll tell you who it was after, but it was like because if you watch it, it's like just it's like a trip,
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
such
It's like,
what the hell are they watching?
I totally see that because it like it's
It's
such
a
like
dark,
a
and then
weird
I think I just said straight, the Star Crystal. What? And you look up and you see it's just like, huh?
uh,
it's like-
yeah, I can totally see that. Like somebody walking in and saying, "What the hell is this movie?" But right, there's a reason why you guys are showing it.
what
I
else
don't
have
know.
we shown? But that's the thing too. It's not so like I can give you a perfect example. Like when a movie that I frequently use when I'm talking about teaching is The Karate Kid, right? And the reference is that Mr. Miyagi teaches Daniel all of these things, and Daniel's not aware of it until
How
until
can you get a how can you get away with the Karate Kid?
no, no, no. I'm not talking about kids. This is actually a reference that I use when I'm talking to like adults about how to teach
Oh,
kids, right?
okay, I
So
got you.
so it's kind of like, like the Daniel didn't have to be aware that he was learning
Right,
how to block a punch in order to learn,
right,
right? It was like
right.
so it's like that's just an example, but if the person has never seen a movie and this has
That's
happened to me
that's a
before, they don't
that's a
get it.
good point. That sums up a lot of how we taught,
Right.
They don't have to understand everything at that time.
Yes.
Like, but we're planting seeds in there. Yeah.
And the movies to me are
Good
seeds
point.
that we can
Yeah.
like throw a grappling hook to catch and pull
Hmm.
the kids towards it.
Yeah. Well, think about what's in a movie. That's why it does it. It's the music
Everything. Yeah.
that ties them in. It's the costumes, it's the plot, it's the emotional, it's the emotion behind it. There's so many things that pulls them in. And, it also distracts them from everything else and then just focus on one
Hmm.
thing, which is why I think we like it. There's so many distractions during a day for a kid, but for a movie, they just focus on one thing.
Did you ever see the clip of there's a kid with pretty severe ADHD and they have him in two scenarios. One where he's watching like an educational video and he's going out of his mind. He's spinning around in the chair. He's like doing headstands. He's laying on the floor. And then the next one, it's a different session. He's watching Star Wars and he's perfectly still. He's just sitting in a chair. He's dialed in.
That's
And
my experience with a
yeah,
student who was emotionally disturbed.
right.
That's exactly what I did with a student who was emotionally disturbed. I changed my whole class
Yep.
because he was exactly like that. I made my whole class, because I was a theater teacher, I can get away with it. I had such a connection to Star Wars when he came in, and I would always have it on the screen, and I would have other things going on, but that is what saved me with him. Was once I found out he was into that, I would greet him with Star Wars quotes. You know what I mean? But it's true. It just drove him in. I remember going to a training and I said something once and I thought it was like out there. I didn't know how the instructor would handle it. It was something about like, is there a way to reach a student with an emotion, who's emotionally disturbed? And I know they don't like that term today. I think that term's out, emotionally disturbed. But back then it was what they said.
No,
And I said,
it still is
it's
ED.
still it's
It's
still
still,
in?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I said it. I said, and I don't remember exactly how I said, but I said you had to reach him at his level. It's almost, and this is going to sound like the wrong way to say it, but it's almost like becoming crazier than the crazy person, you know? And I don't mean to say emotionally disturbed person is crazy, but I'd say I would have to reach him like at his level or at a higher level. So if he's coming in and he's thinking pure this, I can be, and that's where the acting would come in. I would just be like, I would reach him with the most out of there quote from Star Wars, and I'd reach him with that and draw that student in. And then when we sit down and that's on the screen, like I got him, you know what I mean? Like, and
Is
it's just a
that,
way.
would you consider that to be like also what you guys spoke about the other day, like the art of the hook? Would you
Hmm.
consider that part of that? Like you're
Mm,
reeling them in, you're hooking them in
For
to
that for
what?
that one student, maybe, but no, not exactly the same thing.
Okay.
Because I don't want to just draw him in. I'm trying to think of a way to
It's more
just
of a
reach him through the whole
it's
class.
more of a
You
long
know?
game.
Yeah, 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 exactly.
A lot of
To
Okay.
hooks are
hook
like
you.
a short game, you know.
Yeah, short game for everybody just to get them interested in what you're about to do and just how to capture everyone's attention. This is survival. And it's a long silence.
Yeah. Waiting for
You
Brittany
could
to say
edit that
something.
out.
No, I like the after
Okay.
survival, it just went dead.
Wait, so let's think of other movies because we just named a bunch before.
Yeah, I didn't aim too. I mean, the brewery you don't show too much when you're working as
Yeah.
a
But
school
No.
counselor.
she's like aware of ones that we've shown because
Yeah,
especially
Yeah.
if it was in the auditorium.
I have
Yeah. Like
lots.
if
I
I
have
was
lots.
coming in, if I was coming in to get my kids or, my students and you guys were showing movies, it was, like I said, it was the amazing, amazing stories. Steven Spielberg, like from the early
Yep.
80s, he created this
Hmm.
like amazing mini series of like all these short stories. Um,
Yep.
and so those, I'm trying to think what
The
else. There
Never
was
Ending Story was one of
the
them
Never
for
Ending
me.
Story,
Yep.
Zathura, definitely,
Yep.
Dawn of the Dinosaur, Ice
Ju
Age,
Jumanji.
Jumanji,
Probably
um,
Monsters Inc. I'm thinking, but I'm not sure. Um,
Up, Up, like you had mentioned earlier,
Up was a
definitely
big one.
Up.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
liked.
What else?
I liked. I don't know if it's Charlie. The one from the '70s is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Willy Wonka and the
oh
Chocolate
yes.
Factory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you like the original one, not the one with Johnny Depp, but the one with Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder.
So
Yep.
like for
Yeah.
me, I use I don't really use movies, but they're the times that I have, they're usually Pixar. Pixar does these little shorts that
Oh
I
yeah.
lend
like
to
the
like
shorts in
social
Pixar.
emotional
Yeah.
lessons. So right. So like that they kind of match up with social emotional lessons. So I do use some of those sometimes as a tool.
Did you? I don't know the name of it. I forgot the name of it. Did you show the one where the little boy wanted to be a pilot and his mother got sick and he had to be a baker? You know that one?
No, no, that
I
sounds
forgot. I
so
forgot the name
sad.
of it, but it's like a 5 to 10 minute one, and I would always show it to my kids, and they would just, because they just gave, it opened up so much conversation after. Yeah, I love Pixar shorts, or just in gen, I would look up Academy Award winning shorts also, and you just get the best, 5 or 10 minute
because they're
like
five
films,
minutes and then you're
and they're
able,
so good. Yeah, and then
yeah.
so much you could talk about after.
But what are the lessons in some of those movies that you guys, so, I'm
Well,
sure it was hard to,
that's why it depends on what you're actually want to teach them. That's why some of them are so great. Um, um,
Yeah.
if I mean, there's always a message, depending if you show a scene or a film, a whole film. Um,
so
there's
like Dawn of the Dinosaurs. That's about I first of all, that's like I love that movie. I love showing that movie to my kids. I think I know almost every single word to that movie, especially the words that this character Buck, like, do you guys know who
Buckminster.
Buck was? And he's my favorite character. But anyway,
But
like sorry, go ahead.
no, you're still talking though about trying to tie something in the movie to a lesson, to
Well,
something that, but that's like,
yeah.
for what I was saying is that's not the way that I used them. Like, think of it like this. Anything you're going to teach a kid, you have to diagnose in that kid. And if you have 30 kids, you have to do this for all of them. You can't just like guess or assume. You have to diagnose where those kids are on the spectrum of sophistication in terms of what they know about that thing that you're trying to teach them, right? Some kids are at ground zero. They've never even heard of this thing. Some kids can be fairly advanced in this thing that you're trying to teach, right? But so, but at the end of the day, if you're teaching 30 kids, you have to find, it's like finding the least common denominator or the greatest common factor, right? You have to
but
find a point where you can kind of like start and bring all the kids to where you want them to go. And
it's
so,
hard
like,
today. It's hard
yeah,
today to do it though,
I,
because
I think
the
it's easier than
attention
ever
span,
today.
no, but the attention span for kids have gone down so much with watching a full length movie than it did years ago.
Wait, that's
Like
not what we're
back in the
talking
day,
about, though. We're talking about, well, I was talking
we're
about
not.
diagnosing where kids are in terms of what they know. And like kids these days know more than kids ever knew before because of things like social media. Like whether that's good or bad,
Right, they're
they
exposed to
have been
more because of
exposed to
social.
more information than any other generation ever.
Okay.
But
Right.
that stuff that they have experienced is all that they have to draw from in order to build on top of, right? So like movies for me are just like loading the deck. It's like it's putting in things that I know now that is in their repertoire that they had paid attention to when we watched it because that's what they do.
So
And I
you're
can,
strategic in
yeah,
showing your movies
yeah,
then,
yeah, no, it's
right?
it's a strategy, but it doesn't have, I don't show the movie and then go, oh, I can't wait until I talk about this topic because I'm going to reference this movie. It's more like in the middle of me teaching something, I'll have a Rolodex of movies that I know that I've shown, and I'll say, oh, it's just, if they're not understanding something, I'll say, oh, it's just like when we watched Zathura and this happened. Do you remember that? And they'll say yes, and then it's just making an instant connection to something when they don't have something else to grab onto. Does that make sense?
Yes. So, okay. So that makes so much sense. I personally think like so for me personally, I can't work like that. That's like next level shit. Like I am not calling myself basic, but I need a plan in order to function. So like that, what you just said is great. Like that's fantastic that you are able to do that. And I hope that a lot of teachers are able to do that. But like I know that I personally can't. Like or maybe I can and I'm not I'm not confident that I can do it.
No, you can
So
do
like
it.
I think that that's great. Like, and I think that as a teacher and as a professor, you're teaching your students this technique.
But do you
I
do
think
it?
that's
You
great.
do it all the time. Like
I
you
mean,
do it
really,
all the time when you're talking to us. If the three of us go out to dinner, you'll do it constantly. You'll, like, someone like Matt will tell a story and you'll be like, oh, that's just like well, like whatever, like, and it's a lot of times it's a movie reference or a TV reference or something that happened in the show Friends or The Office or Seinfeld, or you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I think
Right.
that,
Why don't you just tell me the name of the movie?
yeah,
That's from Seinfeld. If anybody, do you remember Maddie? No,
but that's what I'm saying. You just did it.
Oh,
you're right. I know. I just did it. Yeah, I guess so. I guess, but
Matt,
that's
though, I think
right.
you were starting to talk about kids these days with attention span to be able to sit down and actually watch a movie like straight
oh,
through.
I definitely think it's gone down through the
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
The attention. I don't know if you noticed that.
I can barely get Sam to watch a movie with me anymore because he'll watch like half of it and then he'll just leave.
Well, I think we're
Austin's
in
fine. Ava is
the
not.
we're in the era of short videos.
Yes.
We're still in that, and it's even getting shorter then with TikTok videos, and it just keeps getting shorter and shorter. You know, so that unless you like,
Well,
as a
because also
parent,
we want that instant gratification, right? So
right,
like
right.
they want to get
Unless
to the
as a
point. Get to the
parent,
point.
unless as a parent you sort of teach them to appreciate the art of the film, and that's just a different thing. In general, in their own time, that's the way kids communicate today. It's short videos.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a different thing. If you try then to incorporate into the class, they don't appreciate it as much as they did years ago because there's more technology now. So, but years ago, if you showed a movie, that was a big thing. That was a big day. Now it's like nothing. You know, it's not such a big deal anymore. So
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the answer is. You just sort of have to find the right things to show them that would help engage them in what you're doing.
I think that
Sometimes it's worth it to show a short film.
I think we're in the golden age though, because like I'm going through social media all the time, TikTok, Instagram, whatever. Every time I
Yeah.
see something that is real, and there's so much of this. Every time I see something that's really well done, that teaches a concept, like it teaches maybe why the tides go up and down, but they're animated. The people who are doing it are like, they're just expert content creators, and they're
Yeah.
teaching something in like 1 or 2 minutes that would take a normal science teacher an hour or a week to do, right? And so every time I come across that, I send it to myself, and I have a library of it's like a jukebox. I have a library of probably 500 of these short videos teaching different concepts in science, right? If I was still in a classroom, I would have like literally like a jukebox. I would have like a screen, like,
It's a lot easier to find what
right.
you need
Yep.
today. If I have an idea or a concept, I can find a 3-minute video that's
Yes.
perfect on it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like if I
That's
wanted
so well
ping
done.
pong, if I wanted ping pong rhythm beats, I could
Yes.
find like the most amazing. It's serious. I did recently.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
found like some, and the kids were upset about like I would watch these. Like my preparation would be like 10 minutes of just looking at videos. I'm like, what's really going to catch their attention? And I'll
Yeah.
see these guys doing like playing ping pong to a drum beat, and then it's on a machine, and then popcorn's popping, and then I'm like, this
Yeah.
is amazing. You know what I mean? Like how you can find like anything that you need, like just by doing a little bit of a broad search today. There's so
Mm-hmm.
much out there that can if your mind just becomes if you just let your mind go, it's like I can find this for them, and they're gonna love this, and that's your hook,
Yeah.
basically.
But like Brugge, that's more like what you were talking about before. So when I'm saving these videos, I am thinking of a specific time that I would show them. You know what I mean? So I find something
Mm-hmm.
that's a minute or two long and I go, "Oh my God, when I'm going to be teaching about whatever, tides or, or earthquakes or tsunamis, like I'll have this folder that has 10 different videos in it done by all different people. And basically the kids watching those 10 things will be probably better than I would be able to just sit there and, you know what I mean? Like, and try to verbally or explain to them or draw something on the board. You know what I mean? Like, or show them content, like educational content that's out there that's just totally lame. You know what I mean? Like, which
Right.
most of the stuff that's designed for education purposes is, so.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to bring something up. Do you think that teachers today, from your experience or your experience, or even my experience, like, do you think that how do they use movies today? Do they even use them? Do they use cinema in the classroom? Or are they afraid to even show things in
No,
that
teachers.
way? Like,
Uh, I mean, from what I see, the teachers are what we had discussed earlier about like right before a break, they're showing I don't know, a Christmas movie or a holiday movie. Like
It's
they're,
just a fun thing. Yeah.
yeah, like they're, and they have popcorn. I
Right.
don't know that they're necessarily using it as a
I
tool.
don't, I haven't seen it really being done that way. You know what I mean? Like the way we've been talking about using it. So that's from, my experience. So,
Hmm.
we're two out of a lot. But I mean, I'm sure there are people that do. But I think, like I said, you're afraid of just getting misunderstood by showing it. People use their smart board or whatever they have in their room, to show, educational videos or this or that. But to go out of the box and show something like we've talked about, if you found something, it's a little bit risky. You still don't, you feel like then you have to explain it. I'm
Hmm.
not one. I never cared because I always felt like I could back it up and the reason I'm showing it. So I'll sit down and watch it with them if there's a reason, and but I don't feel that people take that chance or sway that way to motivate them or explain things or think out of the box
Hmm.
or just find the moments that way. I definitely don't see a lot of people doing it, at least from what I've seen.
Yeah.
That's it's too bad because it's missing out on another way to engage them all, and then you know they're not going to bring them out of the school. It's definitely a way to broaden their horizons.
Yeah, it's not also exposing them to things that, like, movies that may have impacted us. Are they like, we have an opportunity to like when our parents were raising us, they exposed us to things like, I don't know, like the movies with Gene Kelly and Frank Sinatra, right? So like we
Hmm.
have an opportunity to do that for our students.
Yeah. I
And
remember
you
showing
know,
I showed Ella Fitzgerald in concert. I can pull that up in a second, and she's you know singing about taking the A train, and then we're singing that. There's so many different things you can use,
right.
not just movies but technology in general. If you just take the time to like think about it and incorporate it into your lessons.
Yeah.
It's too bad. I think people are a little bit afraid to think that far out of the box and use it, but
If you gave me a list of standards or whatever, like whatever is thought to be kids learning, which a lot of our standards and testing to me is not like the best example of kids learning, but if you gave me whatever your standard of learning is, if you basically said, okay, you can get the kids to achieve this in any way that you want to, right? There's not going to be any observations, no oversight. Like
Mhm.
you're the czar of education. You can do whatever you want. And I'm going to run my own school that way. And there's another school that's going to run in the traditional way. So they're going to use curriculum like Houghton Mifflin or whatever. You know what I mean? They're going to do it the way that it's typically done. If I was able to just use social media, games and gaming and movies and television, it's basically like multimedia that's already
Yeah.
out there and that was not developed for educational purposes, that was developed for entertainment. If
Right.
I only used that and then I just used myself as like a connector, like a bridge builder or a coach or whatever, I promise you I can outperform the other school. You know what I mean? Like with all the kids. And it's just like, and that's, I don't know, I just feel like that says something. It's like, you know, I mean, it says something about how education happens now, which is
Well,
sad, but
I think
Right.
people are scared.
yeah.
People are scared to go, in any direction. I mean, this is common. If anything that's different is scary,
Hmm.
and thinking differently is scary. So if you're an educator and you think differently, it's always scary. Um, I think you know, Brooke, you're a counselor, but I mean, Rob and I as teachers definitely experienced that in our lives, you know, as teachers.
Yeah.
Well, we are at 57 minutes. So I think we're time to wrap this one up. This was a great one. It wasn't
Yes.
about the hook. It was about many different things,
Yep. It was
but
about, I think it was about cinema. Mm.
Broogie was going to tell stories about us and our great hooks that we've used that she's witnessed, but she
I was going to use the story about how not that it was a hook, but just a story about how you used to sit in your side room and like have a video camera watching the kids do their work. Do you remember this?
Oh, like, well, no, I had the computer in there with like the camera on the computer, right? And so I would go into the side room and the door would be closed, but I'd be watching the room with the computer camera because
Right.
because it was like, whatever the thing that they were doing was, maybe there was a rule that was like, no talking or no getting up or
Right.
whatever. So it would just really be there to like
I didn't know this. You were able to do that?
to make them think that I, had X-ray vision or something, it's like,
Right. And then you would watch them. I do remember, I just remember coming in and you were sitting there between the door, like the door, I don't know what to call that, the door frame.
yeah.
And you had the computer and you were watching the computer. And like, if anyone stepped out of line, you would just be like, ah, and you'd call their name out and then they would go back down and write. Like they were so well behaved because I don't know.
No,
it was great.
but the best was like Matt said when like I had someone who was hearing impaired and they had the headphones and I had the microphone, right?
Yeah.
So I would have the camera on the same way that you're just talking about, but in this case, I would go in there and I would start talking to that kid through the microphone. Only they can hear me, right? So so I'd say stand up, and go over to the door and kick over the garbage can. And like,
Oh man,
the class thinks that the kid is going crazy. You know what I mean? Like it was a whole,
did he
it was
do
a whole
it?
gag. Yeah, it was so fun. It was like a whole gag.
Oh yeah, that's
But like
great.
that's like what we did with
That's like Impractical Jokers or Punked in those things where they, like you're in the
Yes.
other room.
Oh my God, Rob, you created it.
yeah. Well, it was making that kid who has this thing that they perceive as a disability make it feel like a superpower, right? Like, oh, no one else could do this because they don't have this thing that I have. You know what I mean? Like, so it was just a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
Between me and the kid,
Right.
So. All right. Well,
that
Matt,
was-
you want to lead us out or?
Sure, with the outro, I never know. But all right, thanks for coming to Play and Teacher with Broogie, Matt, and Rob, and tune in next time when we'll be talking about. I have
You
no
said my name
idea,
first.
Yeah, I did. We'll be talking about why Broogie needs to go first in our next podcast, and we'll see you then. Have a great day.
Okay. Bye.